everyone, and welcome to Bookworm Wednesday. Today I'm going to be talking about something that is not super exciting, but I think it will be really helpful for you guys. And since it is almost back to school, I'm going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of buying textbooks. I know that textbooks can get very, very expensive regardless of the way that you purchase them. However, there are ways that you can save a lot of money and things that I wish I would have known my first 2 years of college, and I probably could have saved a couple $100s. These are the ways that I find I can save the most money and are most effective for my schooling when buying textbooks. The first and probably most important tip is wait till you have started classes and you see how the professor is going to run the class. For me, there were many times where it would say on the website like recommended, necessary, and then I would get the book and I would never use it the entire semester. Not because I just didn't, but because the professor just didn't use the material and kind of used lecture notes and things that just going to class can get you a decent grade. So I definitely think pre-buying books is like a huge no-no. I think that buying your books before you see how the class is going to be run is a huge mistake because you can end up wasting a lot of money on books you will never even open. So what I do is I go to the class and I give it about maybe a week or two of the classes, and usually like my classes I go to them either 2 times a week or 3 times a week, and so I'll give them like 2 or 3 class periods to decide if I think the book is going to benefit me in the class or not benefit me. My second tip is a don't, and that is I kind of touched on it in the first one, but that is don't buy everything on the online list. For my school, they have like a place where you can go and you can look and see all of the materials that are needed for the class, and they will either say required, optional, I think just required and optional, and I don't think the optional ones are necessary ever. I've never gotten something or thought about getting something that said optional that I was happy with getting, and if I didn't get it, I was happy that I didn't get it. And so the required ones are kind of optional, and I think the ones that say optional on them, you don't need. So that is what I think. I don't know how every other school works, but that is how mine works. And so I just say don't buy everything on the online list that it says. I think it's definitely more beneficial to go to the class first. My next tip is use online sites like Amazon, Chegg, and cheapbooks.com. I think those you're going to get your best deal. You're going to get lots of deals that are 50% off, 75% off, but even like 25% off is great, and you won't pay what bookstores and other like student bookstores what those books are going for, because they're going to be a lot more expensive there. So I personally love Amazon. That is my favorite. I think it works the best. I think I've had the best success rate with quality of the books and time shipped, and they also have a very, very wide selection. So when I get my textbooks, I usually use Amazon. My fourth tip is a don't, and that is don't use like student bookstores that are on your campus. Those are going to be where you're going to be the most expensive. You're paying for the convenience of not having to wait for shipping. You're paying for them being right there, but you're also going to be paying a lot more. So, and I know there are some instances where the course pack will only be sold at your school, which then, yes, you have to buy the course pack. You have to buy that from the student bookstore or your on-campus bookstore, and then that's only one. But if you're buying all of your textbooks from there, it's going to be a lot more expensive, and you can drop easily $500, $750 on textbooks, which is absolutely ridiculous when you could get them for a lot cheaper on an online site. My next tip is just being realistic with how much you think you're actually going to use the books. I know for me, I do very well with going and listening to a professor rather than reading from a text. So textbooks for me are not the best way for me to learn. So I am really liberal on what textbooks I actually purchase because I know myself and I know that when I buy them, I'm not necessarily going to use them. So I have a hard time paying like $75 for a textbook that I might open twice in the semester. And most textbooks don't really do a great job of explaining, and I think you can do a better job with using your time to go to the professor's office hours or just spend a little more time studying the lecture notes rather than reading a dry textbook that explains things in terms that sometimes I can't even understand. So just like knowing yourself. If you like to read and digest textbooks, then textbooks will probably be a good way for you to learn. But if you don't and you're like me and you prefer to hear and see and discuss, textbooks are not the best way to go for me. The next tip I have is to seek out others who have taken those classes or have taken the professor before. I think that is a huge help to learn from other people's experiences, to learn from their mistakes or their successes. And so for me, being in a sorority, I have like 100 other girls that I can go and talk to. Hey, have you taken this Spanish class? Hey, have you taken this? Have you taken that? And really see what is valuable in terms of course material. And a lot of times, if they've taken those classes and they bought the books and they were beneficial to that class, they will still have the books and you can buy them off your friend or off. So I think it's extremely valuable to have those connections of older students who have already taken classes and can learn from their mistakes. Another huge tip for buying books is not to buy them new. You don't need the prettiest book. Chances are no one's ever going to see it. It's going to stay in your dorm room or your apartment or wherever you're living. So don't buy them new because they're going to be more expensive. Used books, they're the same thing. They're the exact same words unless they're different editions, which in some cases there's like the chapter numbers are different. So all in all, like getting books new, you're wasting money. So look for used copies. I know like most of the Amazon and cheap books and Chegg are used, so that's a great way to go. But I know in my school on campus bookstore, they have used and then they also have new, and I don't understand why people buy them new because they can be anywhere from like $10 to $30, $40 cheaper for a used copy, and most of the time like just the edges on the cover are a little bent, and I still see people who are buying new textbooks. I don't understand that. So buy things used and you'll save some money. Another tip is to buy things and rent them, not necessarily buy them outright, but rent them. Personally, I have rented from online stores and I've also rented from my school bookstore. I prefer to rent from my on-campus bookstore. I think I said online, but I meant on campus. I prefer that just because the return of the books is a lot easier. You don't have to worry about shipping them out on the right date. So when I buy books online, I never rent them. I don't like to rent them online because then you have to ship them back and it's just kind of a hassle, and it's not that much, you're not saving that much money, and I think it's convenient to just not have to send them back. And so I do pay the little extra money online, but you're still getting those like way discounted. But if you have to buy like a course pack or something specific to your school, they'll usually have like a rental option, and that will be a lot cheaper. And I don't really use my books after I've taken the class. In some cases, they might be helpful with future classes, but all in all, like, I don't think it's worth when you could save a little money on the rental ones. So I just think it is very beneficial to rent from stores that you can physically go to and outright buy from online stores, and though that combination will save you the most money, and it has saved me the most money. Another tip that I have is after going to the class 2 or 3 times, you're gonna see people that you know that are in your classes and maybe make a few connections, and then you can go together and buy the textbook. Especially if you're close friends, it works really, really well because then you can study together. One of you can take the book for one night and exchange it, and then you only have to pay half. So say the book is $50, you both pay $25, and you're getting a way better deal, and you're also sharing it. So it's just a better option to go. So if you can make friends in the class and share books, that's also a good way to save money. So those were all of my tips for buying textbooks. Just be realistic. You don't have to buy every single textbook that your class offers. A lot of times you won't use them, or you'll only use them once or twice, and really that won't get you that ahead. Thank you so much for watching this week's Bookworm Wednesday. Give this video a thumbs up if you like these back to school book themed videos, and I'll do a few more. And don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.